We're talking with an amazing duo, a couple duo, a publishing couple duo. So let's hop into the interview. If you like this kind of content, be sure to hit the subscription and give us a like.
We're usually very intentional about finding, I don't want to call it a balance, but the right harmony for our lifestyle. Because, we have a 6-year-old and 2-year-old, we have the publishing business, we homeschool, we have our personal care, the marriage, family unit, and
the TV show, the
little
TV show.
So then we added, making a film,
right?
So and so it's again, typically got a good flow going on, and then there's just those seasons where it's like just one more thing added to the mix is just gonna.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to talk to you guys and hear more about how the film's been going and the writing and you guys publishing. And I met you guys at 20 Books last year. I'm not sure you guys maybe don't remember me since there are a lot of people there, but I remember chatting with you guys and I was like, oh man, have to interview them and it'd be super fun. So I'm glad that you guys could come on the show today. This is gonna be super fun.
Yeah, no, happy to be here and thank you for reaching out and for following up. It's always really nice to connect and reconnect with people we've met and thought leaders in the industry.
So first off, for anyone that doesn't know you guys, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves, your publishing company, your books, and also your film?
Sure, go ahead.
Should we introduce each other? Maybe like a test?
Do it.
How well we know each other.
Games.
I don't know either. Everything seems so calm. Like we need a little.
I mean, if we mess this up, I'm highly concerned.
Yeah, I know. All right. Here's test. So Jynafer came from a marketing advertising background where she worked for, shouldn't have gone down this road. She worked there for 12 years.
Okay.
And everywhere from managing, multi-million-dollar clients. And she's taken all that knowledge now and a few years ago quit to work and be the CEO of our company, our publishing company. So I don't really do a lot of the work. I just kind of come in and tell the jokes and write the stories. And Jynafer is more of the person behind the curtain, pulling the levers and making everything work.
Wonderful.
It really glamorizes that. It doesn't feel that way, but thank you. So for about 10 years now, almost 11, Jonathan has been writing. And so he actually, writing as authors do their whole lives, but been published. And so he went through a journey, a sort of hybrid journey where he was traditionally published by a boutique publisher imprint. And then we discovered a little bit more about this whole KDP thing and Kindle and that there's this big independent publisher movement that's not the same as that self-publishing. And so we, made some friends. He made some friends, and we went to 20 Books, and then we really got into the whole professional aspect of new pub, indie pub, and going through with all the professionals that are involved in publishing a quality series or book. And series is the key there too. So he did that about 6 years or so, and then, as he mentioned, at the end of 2018. I transitioned because at that time we had our daughter. I was moonlighting, doing some editing and ads and everything for us, and he was writing all day. And so I transitioned to be home and put more focus on our business and on that publishing aspect of our endeavors. And so, yeah, I think Jonathan has been involved in local writing clubs. He's received the Jack London Award for some of the work he's done in California here with Scholastic and young aspiring writers. He was president actually of our Orange chapter. We met so many wonderful authors and connections and friends through there. And then, because enough's never enough, Jonathan started a few years ago writing scripts and saying, what's the next evolution of storytelling? And with all, the abundance of streaming platforms and contents, we know he's good at storytelling. So why does it have to necessarily be in a book, ebook, audiobook medium? And so, the strength, one of the many strengths of Jonathan's writing is his character development, and action sequences. So that carried over really well to the types of screenplays he wanted to write. And so we started to do that. We worked with some other authors, and 2020 hit. No joke, the day that California went into lockdown, we had some meetings scheduled with some folks in the Hollywood scene, and it went from let's wait and see how it goes, or let's maybe reschedule this, to everybody shut down. So that was a really good, interesting way to learn humility and to slow down. But that's not what indies do, right? Successfully, there is no slowdown. I don't think they carry breaks when they make these independent authors.
Right.
So, in that time, there were many opportunities and connections that came up. But a year ago, in the summer 2021, we collaborated with an acquaintance who is now a dear friend to come up with a story, and said, let's do this. Let's do this on our own. Why would we wait for gatekeepers to do film when we never really relied on gatekeepers to successfully make it as an author or a publisher?
I love that.
So we went into pre-production, October 2021, pre-production December, and by January we were done filming. And so we just about a week or so, or a day, wrapped up post-production. So
Wow.
here we are.
That is so exciting. I am so pumped for you guys. Just like that, like you guys, started out like where you started out and where you were and where you are now. I mean, like even when the world shut down, like you guys just kept succeeding and kept working towards the next goal. And it's so exciting. It's just so exciting that you guys decided to be, not go to a gatekeeper and just say, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to do this, and we'll succeed at it because we did it with books. So that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's something that people can not be afraid of. It's that fear of the unknown, right?
Right.
I don't know what lies on the other side of this. I have to go to this person who's an expert. It's like, well, nobody just became an expert. Every contact, every executive, everybody in any of the industry started, made mistakes, learned from those who came before them, but they were tenacious enough to keep going. And those are the people who learned and adapted and moved their way into the space that they are or they wanted to be.
I think it's hard for some people now too, especially authors who have been in the game for a while. Because if you're an author who has, been publishing and writing for 5 or 10 years, I think you understand how hard it was to get to where you are now. And they're not eager to start from the beginning, like in something like film, start in a new kind of area space, start from like day one, square one, and start the climb all over again.
Yep. I bet. I mean, it could definitely be crazy. That's for sure. Adding another thing on top of it and then going back and trying to do all of that they did for their book, but with a film, I'm sure it would be difficult.
Yeah. But, what's really nice about it too is just like, connecting with you and all the people from 20 Books, the group, 20 Books Vegas, and all the pockets and, vines that have come from that, different relationships. Authors, maybe they're not as active in 20 Books, but they're active in other spaces, but they know each other. Is that networking? That's something that Jonathan has done so well that I kind of take the back seat on, is connecting with other authors and genre or similar categories to make those relationships, because it could be a very isolating field, right? And so you're behind. We joke that Jonathan hangs out with imaginary characters and small children all day. So
yeah, those are my influences.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's like 3 imaginary characters and then our 2 children.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
Good that he can be connected to everyone, and the way that the group has supported and encouraged books, new series, whether it's newsletter swaps or just a hey, congratulations, or hey, I noticed you had this book, this looks great, your cover's amazing, or it's been so encouraging. And so going into it also in terms of any new industry, new film offshoot, is look for the friends who want to give a hand out, and the ones that you can reciprocate and who want to collaborate.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think having the largest building in the city means you have to tear other people down, but you don't. You just have to keep on building, and you can encourage other people to keep on building.
I love that. Yeah. I feel like that's one thing that I thought, like how 20 books is so different because there's so many like, groups for creatives where people are like, oh, I'm going to keep all these secrets to myself because I can't have you competing against me. And I feel like everyone that I've met, like from there, is just, oh my gosh, how can I help you? How can I help you succeed? And like, not like, oh, it's all about me, but like, trying to help and help others succeed. I love that. Being the helpers. That's
Yeah,
great.
no, yeah, 100% too. I think like there's imposter syndrome that goes around in our industry. So people always ask me like on interviews, like, oh, do you suffer from imposter syndrome? Going back to what you just said, like it's not about me. I
Yep.
don't even think about myself that much at all to think if I have imposter syndrome or
Oh,
not. I spend zero time thinking about how I feel and just
that's
the
great.
time working on how I can get better in what I'm doing with my next project.
That is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, and a friend from that group, she tells me like we have to approach it like it's not a zero sum game. There's
Mhm.
not a finite amount of success, and that we're all trying to get our piece of that pie. There is, because success looks different for everyone. And
Yeah.
so my success is going to look very different from what success is for someone else. So for, in that regard, there's no competition. And in other regards is if it's just a matter of as many books that we can have read, there's so many readers, and so many readers are like they're reading more books than you can put out. I think there's only one publishing imprint that puts out more books than a single person can read in a year.
Wow.
And
Yep.
that's with all the books that they have
Yep.
and all the authors. But other than that, like, and people reread, they go back and they read it again, and it's about relationship building. And in a world of individuals that feel so isolated, it's about a bunch of communities, micro communities and more macro communities, and how we can just be really good human beings to each other and be there and try to minimize, like, mitigate that loneliness and
Mhm.
isolation that folks are feeling.
And most
Right.
authors are pretty cool. I would say like 9 out of 10 authors are super nice. And then
Yep.
there's that one, there's like that. But that's, I think, in any industry.
Yeah.
Then there's
Yep.
always that like 1 out of 10 author. You're like, well, I'm never going to talk to this person again.
And chances are they're just super awkward and they don't mean any harm. They just
Right.
don't know how to hang out.
Don't know how to dive, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I don't know if he understands.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. I love that. I just love learning more about you guys, and you guys are just a powerhouse couple. So I am super excited to get into some of the other questions here too. So do you guys publish strictly like, Jonathan's books, or do you guys also publish other people's books?
So we started off just publishing mine, and we have published other people's books. Currently, we publish one other author.
Oh,
And the
okay.
reason that we haven't chosen to like grow our publishing company further is because I kind of see our company as a pizza. So pizza you slice into multiple different ways, right? Multiple
Yep.
different slices. So with an IP so if I write a book, I can slice that up into like foreign rights. We could go into Germany, we can go into comic books, we can go into audiobooks, there's
Yep.
merchandise, there's television now that we're doing TV. So if I had gone and tried to go my publishing house, I wouldn't have time to be
Okay.
able to really maximize opening up all those revenue streams
Okay.
from other authors. And also too, like I found out there's something wrong in my head. There's something broken in my mind where I just want to do hard things. I don't want to do easy things anymore. So it would be like super easy just to kind of stay in my lane. The easiest thing I could do would just be to stay in my lane, stop writing and get ghostwriters, and then just publish other people. And then it'd be just like rinse and repeat. Get a
Right.
cover, get an author, boom, send it out there, do some ads. Cover, author, boom. And I don't want to knock anybody who's doing that, because if that's what they want to do for their publishing house, may God be with you. But it's
Right.
just not what I want to do. Like it's not fun for me to like if I learned how to hunt deer, to go hunt the same deer over and over and over again. Like figured out how to hunt the deer. Now let's go see how we can capture that dragon. Let's go to
Yeah.
TV and film. Let's go do, let's climb the next mountain.
Sure. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Yeah. I completely understand that.
Yeah. But we have helped authors who would like to get published. Like
Okay.
we've worked with authors in terms of someone's like, I've got a story, I've got multiple stories, I don't know how to get a cover. I don't know how to format. I don't know how to create my platform. I don't know how to advertise. And we'll work with them to launch them. So we're teaching men and women to fish as opposed to just having them fish for us, or however this goes. Watch that one.
No, I think that works. I think if we go back to that.
Okay.
Us teaching them how to do it themselves is like us teaching them how to fish.
Yes.
As opposed to us saying like, come over here, we'll give you the pole and the rod, and every time you catch a fish, you give us half.
Okay. For everyone who
There
likes
you go. Yep.
But no, that's exactly. And I got to keep renting the equipment for us. There we go. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
And so being able to set them up to be able to do that has been key. So it's not exclusive one way or another. And we demand the same level of commitment and production for anyone who has worked with us.
Right.
Simply because he's crazy. And he writes at least 4,000 words 5-6 days a week, right? And so
awesome.
Yeah, so he's doing that every day, or he's doing something. So he gets up at 5 a.m. and he works until 1 p.m.
Okay.
So that's his around about 8-hour day, give or take, some breaks and a lunch in there somewhere, breakfast. And then from 1 to 4 p.m. every day, I'm working, and then I'll work again from about 8 to 10 p.m.
Oh, okay.
So, there's payroll, there's promotions, there's advertising, there's cover, there's creative art, there's looking at different things, there's, bookkeeping, payments, analysis, royalty payments as part of payroll, benefits, all the paperwork for United States and the state of California. So,
and the paperwork for the TV show, because we got SAG qualified, which is like the creme de la creme.
Oh, that's great.
SAG signatory.
SAG signatory. So she had to do all the paperwork for that, and I did not envy her doing all the paperwork.
But we are focused, right? And in there, Jonathan also goes to the gym, works out 4 or 5 days a week. I do the same. He is taking boxing. I'm taking karate. We're working out. We're having protein shakes and green drinks, and we're watching all of those things in such a way. So we understand that we hold ourselves to a very particular standard, because there's not sick days, right? So we do those things so our minds are sharp. So when we sit on the computer, there's not brain fog. So we mitigates, other than this dang virus, sick days. But honestly, we avoided it for 3 years. So all that to say is, when anyone works with us and we're like, hey, we're going to rapid release, so you need to write 80,000 word novels by this date. We're not committing to a release date until you've got 3 of them in the can. Okay. And so, to be fair, not everyone can do that yet, and that's totally fine. So we're saying, well, maybe we'll show you and we'll invest in how to teach you so you can go at your own pace.
Yep.
And what works for you.
That's really great. Yeah. And I really like too seeing how you guys have like this kind of like a work-life balance that's really just like works for you guys. So I know a lot of people struggle with that, trying to, get the words in, get the exercise in. And I think there's a meme out there with like Cruella de Vil, she's driving, and it's like me trying to drink all the water, get the exercise, get enough sleep, do this, do that, do work, and all the things, watch the kids, So how do you guys do it? What would you recommend for other people to help with that work-life balance with writing and keeping yourself healthy so that you can do this for a long time?
I would say it is 95% a mental game. Mm-hmm. A lot of people were like, well, it's hard. Like, well, yeah, it's hard. Hard is not, his saying is, hard is not impossible. And yes, it is hard, but anything you really want, and if it's that worthwhile, the fruit of that labor, it's like labor, it's laborious, it's going to be intentional. Yeah. So cut out the extra stuff you don't need. Put timers and restrictions on your social scrolling. You don't need to binge the next Netflix show. It's probably not that good anyway. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't get in enough protein. Well, then take out the extra things that aren't fueling your fire, your body, fueling your writing, fueling your energy. Any of those time sucks, energy sucks, health sucks, cut them out. And once you trim all that fat, so to say, you're left with a bit more space. And some things don't need to be compartmentalized. Like, we involve our kids in what we do, like the karate stuff. I take karate at the same dojo that my daughter does. And so we go together. And so it's not like my time and her time, it's our time. And we're also leading by example and showing our kids these things that we value in our family.
And we should probably be clear, our 6-year-old and Jen aren't in the same class. So it's not like she's there beating
That
up.
would be
She's not beating up our 6-year-olds. Like,
That'd be a little scary, right? Yeah. Yeah.
That's really easy to get my green belt.
Dude, tight. Jen's the best in her class.
Oh, I love that. That's so funny.
For anyone who hasn't watched the Netflix show Cobra Kai, they can call me Stingray.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
That's how we.
Yeah, I would say like I don't think work-life balance is the same for everybody. Like, we're all built differently. So it might look like a work-life balance to me, might not be the same to you or to somebody else. And then, yeah, I would just say, like, I mean, we basically cut out TV. We watch like a little bit of TV here and there.
It's kid shows.
Yeah, but a lot of the times, like, I was talking to somebody and they're like, oh, you got to watch this show. It gets really good. You have to wait. It gets really good in episode 6. I was like, episode 6? What did you do for the first 5 hours that you're watching that show? I need for a show to grab me, I need it to be good in minute 1.
Yeah.
If it's not good in minute 1, then I mean, I got things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think those are the important things of intention. It's not an overnight lifestyle change. It's like a layer, like in a recipe that you're making. You don't just, this is the one pot recipe, but often to get even from a soup, right? The most wonderful, flavorful soups have layers that you build in to have those flavors and textures and be a part of it. So I think that's something that, and we have, I want to say that it's the luxury of our lifestyle is not missed on us, right? We are so thankful. We practice and exercise and have so much gratitude for this. Like, this isn't something I think we could have written, or maybe you could have imagined it because you have a crazy imagination, or dreamed up, conceptualized to get to this place now, when we were first married 11 years ago. But it was something that we built over time, and we made some sacrifices and we took some risks. And some of those risks may not pay off even now, and some of them definitely have. For me to have got up in the morning yesterday, played with the kids, gone to our local library, read books with them, come home, have lunch, go run some errands in terms of getting things that we needed, some posters and print stuff that we needed delivered for our film premiere tomorrow. The film that we're producing and going to go watch with the big red carpet event tomorrow night.
So cool.
And to come back in, listen to quality control check, an audiobook that we're producing, and then get to sleep by 10:30. Like, my cup is full. My cup is so full, and I'm so thankful. But no, notice there wasn't like, lunch dates, and I watched my favorite show, and I did this. You know what? Like, we're all doing the best we can.
Yep.
We had to take out for dinner. So,
that works.
fun.
Sometimes you need to do that.
Yeah.
But we should backtrack a little bit too. You were saying like, oh, I do boxing and you and Joe are taking karate. The only reason I started boxing is because I saw her and my 6-year-old doing all these like cobra attacks and like suto, go for the throat. And I was like, I gotta learn how to protect myself. So that's why I went and started learning how to protect boxing in case things go sideways. Because these women over here are,
you guys inspired him.
Yeah.
We're gonna abuse him into his word count.
I put on those headbands like Rambo, and then they start going.
We do not.
Tie it around your head, and oh, that's funny.
Oh, we use it that.
I love that. Oh my word. Oh, that's awesome. And so, like, when you guys were like, what tips did you have for other couples out there wanting to, kind of like become a powerhouse publishing couple like that? Like, what are your best tips for working together on things like that? I mean, Yeah, we'll start with that.
Right.
Oh yeah, you should talk about
Talking
that.
about that. So, same friend, she Martha Carr told me about this book, and then Jonathan also read it, and then that's another thing. So, let me circle back to that. But it's called The Four Agreements, and so the book is very short. Read or listen. So, recommend it to everyone. But the four tenets are basically this: take nothing personal, make no assumptions, do your best,
You be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word. And that could mean not only follow through with what you say, but treat your words with the potency that they do have. So kindness and respect and loving. Take nothing personal is like chances are people aren't even thinking about you. They're so busy doing whatever they're doing. Nothing was meant by that. And so when we do that with each other, instead of being like, well, you said this and I interpreted it this way, like it probably wasn't personal. It was probably that it was 8:30. Our 2-year-old was teething. He's been up since 5 a.m. He's tired and he's fatigued. So I don't need to take it personal and hold on to it. But also, we each do our best. So do your best. Do your end of the bargain and do your best to be your best every day. And every day your best is gonna look different. And again, assume nothing on sales. Actually, assume Amazon doing something. But like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't assume the other person understood what you meant until like you've clarified. Don't assume the artist is going to meet the deadline that you've given them. Like, go ahead and follow up with a little reminder. Let your partner know, almost like a status check-in, like, hey, this and this is what we needed, just to confirm. Because he's up at 5 a.m. So he's able, by the time it's time for me to work, to do what he needs to do and then understand what he needs from me. And he'll do a check-in. And we use Discord to communicate all the work stuff.
Okay.
So because, you know, you're talking work, you're talking to each other, you're talking kids, you're talking calendar. And so by having the right areas to do that, I have found is helpful. But again, the check-in and the communication has been really key. So the 4 agreements. And then talking, I think it's good to like it's not all work. So we also have like this nonfiction stuff that we do, the fun stuff and the family stuff.
Yeah, so what Jen's talking about is like we don't do a whole lot of TV, but we can do audiobooks because like if I'm doing chores or Jen's driving somewhere, so we try to listen to the same audiobook. That way we can talk about it too. So we try to feed our minds, you know, personal development as much as possible. So it's like the 4 agreements, we listen to it together. Or if we have like a long car ride to like a speaking engagement or something like that, we'll pick a new audiobook to listen to. And I think that's really helped, like being on the same page and growing as people, not just within the company.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's really good. And you guys end up having like, I mean, you guys said that you chat through Discord. Like when it comes to the business stuff, do you guys also have like weekly meetings or just really not meetings? Yeah, just in the
needed. We'll have a bit. I think that's it for me, and I think maybe other people out there who love languages quality time.
Yep.
I need to have some division.
Right.
So a date night, it's not a business meeting.
Right.
So if there's a bunch of stuff we need to go over and we need to, like, I call it thrashing, the healthy friction of ideas and exchange. We want to do that in person, and that's hard to do when there's like his work time and my work time, all of that. Yep. So we do have a babysitter who comes a couple of days a week for just a few hours. And so we'll take that time and like step out to lunch or something, and we'll go and have a business meeting if there's a number of items or just a topic that we need to kind of focus and talk through.
But now that we've been working together for doing this for so long, like those items that come up, I feel like even if we had like 10 items to go through, we resolve them pretty quick. It's like boom, 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 boom.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. 90% of communication is nonverbal. So if there's something that's decisions and things we need to sort out, then it's like we want to be able to read each other to do that, as opposed to just typing it out for Discord or passing in the hallway or as someone is serving lunch. Hey, did you want to do that? Okay, cool.
And I think when something comes up, like either the person who has the question kind of already knows the answer, or they don't know the answer to such extent that they're willing to take what the other person says to them.
Okay.
So like in our TV show, I really wanted to do speeder bikes because it's a sci-fi Western. Like, oh, we should do speeder bikes. And then that was a short conversation because like, do you know how much that's going to cost in CGI? And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. Maybe we don't do any speeder bikes.
Maybe we'll
stuff like that. Like those types of conversations can happen pretty fast. We can be done with it.
No. Yeah. And then, so do you guys, I know you said the 4 Agreements. Do you recommend any other books?
There's a lot. So The Decision by Kevin Hart.
Okay.
In that book, he talks about just kind of like protecting your mental space. One of the things I'll never forget is like, you only have so many cares to give throughout the day. And he didn't use the word cares, but you have only so many cares to give throughout the day. So you got to protect your cares and not get worked up and not get stressed out by the small stuff. And one of the analogies he used was when a celebrity dies. So when a celebrity dies, it's all over the place. People are getting so sad and people are crying and posting. He's like, unless I know the person, it doesn't affect my life. That's sad that happened. I wish that didn't happen. I wish that person didn't die, but we're all going to go someday. Unless I knew the person, I don't need to dwell and start, doing Facebook posts and Instagram posts, talking about the death and all that kind of stuff like that. Doesn't do anything for them. Doesn't do anything for me. So that's one thing I think about. And then another book is called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink.
Okay.
And his one thing that I'll never forget from his is everything is your fault. Everything's on you. You take responsibility for everything. It's like when we were on set for our film, I did that. Anytime anything went wrong, it was on me how I could fix it. And every day on set, something went wrong. That's like a whole nother conversation, but like every day something went wrong, and you just overcome and you learn to take ownership for things. And I would much rather have that in my life than not thinking that I'm a victim and not having any control over anything.
Right.
So if like, I'm not using this as an example if any of our cover artists are listening, but if there was a scenario where a cover artist came in late, it's not their fault, it's my fault. I should have been more communicative. I should have worked backwards and given them more time. I should have followed up. So it's like, what action steps can I take? So that's a really good book too.
Yep. That sounds good.
And the whole idea of good and adapt and overcome.
Oh, yeah.
So when something goes wrong, a lot of people are like, oh, this went wrong. I don't know what to do. Like they sit in this space. And all of this, by the way, has psychological and physiological implications on your mindset. So that's a different book. It's called Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Okay.
Own it. You're not a victim. And now you are empowered to make the change. When something goes wrong, instead of dwelling in that negative part, it's called the Amygdala Hijack, where your brain goes into this depressive state, which means it can no longer think creatively. If you say, good that this thing has happened, because now I've learned this, we get to do this, that such and such is going to happen, good. And it's not like a Pollyanna, oh, it's fine, it's good. It is like, practical. You are controlling your mind, you're controlling yourself. And like, so I said, 95% mental. And there was the other one, adapt and overcome, because then you can adapt and change and not be so fixated on this was the plan and this was the way it was supposed to be.
Okay.
More energy spent in the adapting and overcoming than in the dwelling of whatever negative happened. Learn from it, own it, and then move on. Outliers
by Malcolm Gladwell is another really good one too. He kind of breaks down and explains how the greats became the greats, everywhere from like Steve Jobs to the Beatles to hockey players, kind of like what their early years look like and what it took for them to be like the number one in their field.
Wow.
And then Mindset by Carol Dweck. There's like a trio: Atomic Habits. Oh shoot, who was that guy? I forget. Atomic Habits, everyone knows that one. Mindset by Carol Dweck, and a phenomenal podcast by Jim Quick. It's called Quick Brain Podcast, KWIK.
Okay.
They kind of like reiterate similar things, but in different ways, which again, we all learn and hear and process differently.
Yeah.
Again, repetition, right? Because like what you try or hear today may not stick if you hear it again in a different season where you can apply it. It's going to have more stickiness to it. It helps with all those little things, like be a goldfish, have a short memory. Oh, James Clear wrote Atomic Habits.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, like how do you approach a situation? How are you not a victim? How are you avoiding ants? Automatic negative thoughts. Those automatic negative thoughts are they're poisoning. They're poisoning their bugs in your brain and productivity. And if you're stressed, again, the body wants to survive. So if it's under duress and stress, it doesn't know if it's just perceived stress or duress, because you're freaking out over something that happened that doesn't actually impact you.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you're actually being attacked by a saber-toothed tiger.
The
physiological parts of the brain are going to react similar.
Oh, wow.
While it's in stress, it's not creative, because you don't need creativity to survive. You have creativity when you're thriving. And so that goes back to like, there's no such, the art one, Steven Pressfield.
Oh yeah, that's another. There's so many good ones. It's the
war of art, against art.
The war of art.
War of art.
There you go.
War is Sun Tzu. Yeah, that's so.
One.
Steven Pressfield talks about how at every turn in his career, almost like Jocko Willink, where everything is your fault, Steven Pressfield had said at every turn in his career, he tries to put as much pressure on himself. He tries to get the ball in his hands, because he knows that when, it comes down to crunch time and he has to put in, stop sleeping, work through nights, weekends, whatever happens, he'll make it happen. Mm-hmm. As opposed to giving somebody else that responsibility and expecting it from them. And I found that that's so true. Wow. So in our own business, in our own life, like I would much rather, just like Jocko says, I'd much rather have ownership over things and be the one to put in the work, because I'll know I'll get it done.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's wonderful. Those are all such good recommendations. Thank you, you guys.
You're welcome.
That's just really good.
You guys, somebody reads it, finds a good nugget in there, message us, share it, because we've been reading these for so long that we may forget some of the, like I said, in this season, we took away these key points because they were super relevant to us, but today a different part of the book may be more timely for us. So we'd love to share and celebrate, whatever someone comes across, or a learning, or be reminded of it. And it's nice.
And don't forget Chris Voss too.
Oh, that's all you.
Chris Voss.
I like you, but that's all you.
Book called Never Split the Difference. He is an FBI negotiator who retired, and he teaches you how to negotiate deals. So I've used his tactics for like audiobooks and comic books and different deals that I've done, and it works.
Oh, wow.
Movie stuff too.
And then the movie stuff too. Yeah.
You
learning how to talk to people. So like, and it's not even just like business deals, it's like day to day with our kids. So like with our kids, like,
how can I have this toy or whatever?
Right. Like, can I have a cookie? And the answer, instead of saying no or go do your chores, would be like, how can I give you a cookie if you haven't done your chores yet?
Oh.
And it forces them to kind of think like, oh, that's right, I haven't done my chores. It almost makes them negotiate with themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. That's so cool.